You see, wisdom isn't something that can be cultivated or developed. Point of view, it's fleeting. How could it cultivate or develop anything? We assume a sequence only of, oh, I'm going to be compassionate or I'm going to be wise. And then we have another point of view that says, well, if I do good works, then I will be compassionate. And then we have another point of view that says, oh, my good works will be feeding the hungry. But you see, this is all still an anomaly of point of view. The only true freedom is timelessly free as every perception. And that is a source of potent wisdom that is so far beyond anything that could ever come from point of view. Potent wisdom that it opens like a floodgate, and that floodgate can never be closed. So potent wisdom and compassion, that you just, by resting naturally, the floodgates are thrown open and this ceaseless compassion and wisdom issue forth in a way that provides all kinds of things that we never possibly could have imagined, like the Great Freedom Teaching. So you see, timeless freedom, it isn't constrained or constricted by any form, no matter how enduring that form may be. So say there are all these great teachings of enlightenment and they're all sequestered within religious or spiritual forms. That means nothing to timeless freedom. That means nothing to timeless freedom. Timeless freedom includes and contains everything, impartially. Everything that is included and contained within timeless freedom is equally pristine, equally immaculate, equally spiritual, equally religious, equally philosophical, equally whatever label you want to put on it. There's no special way to contain timeless freedom. And you know, we really need to listen to this message today as human beings. We need to realize that this is the true reality of who we are. Everyone, not just some people who are the elect or lucky enough to be awake or who want to split themselves off from everything and just sit there until they wake up. You know, this is the province of everyone. As long as we continue to believe that it requires special doing and we have to cut ourselves out of life and ordinary human living in order to be awake, there will only be a few people ever who wake up. And there will be less and less over time. But hey, we're right here. We're right here, and we're already timelessly free. So it's up to each of us to begin with that, not to say, well, you know, I'm going to be timelessly free maybe in 20 or 30 years after I meditate for a while. Or I'll be timelessly free in 10 million years after I live countless lifetimes and accumulate enough meritorious action. You know, this is the true reality of what awakening or enlightenment is that everyone is already timelessly free. This has been the message of all great beings. You know, when Buddha was around, he was communicating things in a very straightforward way that human beings at that time could understand. Or Adi Shankara, or Jesus, or Kuan Yin, or whoever it is. All of these were very contemporary messages. And they were always the same message. You're already free. You're just like me. You know, there's no difference between us. We're already awake. Buddha, that wasn't even his name. Buddha is just a Sanskrit word that means awake. And all Buddha did was say, hey, you know, you're all already awake. Everybody's awake. There are no limits of any kind on being awake. Buddha said, it's preposterous that you would think that women couldn't be awake, or as was thought at the time. Or it's preposterous that awakening would be limited to the Brahmin caste or whatever it is. He said, or the priests. He said, that's preposterous. Everyone's timelessly free. Well, you know, Buddha was an Indian. He was born here in India. So he was born into the tradition of the Rig Veda, the Upanishads, Vedanta. And he had 3 gurus, and he said, no, this isn't right. What all the gurus are saying, it isn't right. Everyone's already timelessly free. And that's the teaching I'm going to give. I'm going to tell everybody that. And within just a few hundred years, all of India became Buddhist. Isn't that amazing? Because when the people heard this message, they said, well, of course, of course, we are timelessly free. So you see, this is the same message now as has always been for everyone. Everyone already, if we want to call it awakening or enlightenment, we can, but we don't need to call it that. We could just call it being human. We could call it being human. Now there's the concept, isn't it? Just the reality of being human. Something that we all are talking about as true about ourselves, and that we're all supporting each other in being. So a worldwide community of mutual support for this great reality of being human. That's what great freedom is. And do you have any questions? There's really nothing to say, is there? But if I were just spouting all this out as a philosophy, it sounds good, it sounds really great. But, since I realized who I have always been 24 years ago, I've seen, when this occurred for me, it occurred out of the blue, so to speak. In other words, I'd never done any meditations or pujas or had a guru or even knew that there was anything called enlightenment or awakening. I just found myself in a pickle. Does everybody know what that means? A pickle is when you get into a situation in your life that you can't get out of. You're in a pickle. All the thoughts are coming, all the emotions are coming, all the circumstances are coming, and there's no way to organize it all to make it feel good anymore. So I was in a pickle. And when I was in the pickle, I couldn't find a way out. No way out. I was bombarded by all these points of view. They wouldn't stop coming. No matter what I tried, they didn't stop coming. And believe me, I tried about everything. And so finally I had to give up. I had to give up. I thought, gosh, I have at least 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 decades left in my life, and I can't bear living like this. And so I was suddenly realizing that all these things, no matter what they were coming from somewhere. And that somewhere was an expanse of equalness. In other words, when I just rested as each of those perceptions came up, I found that their root, their origin, their unbornness was in something that I experienced as total relief. I didn't even know what to call it. Not awareness or basic space or anything else. And then the more I rested as that, the more it became obvious. So it was very natural, very familiar. It wasn't like I was taking myself out of being human. It was like I was being swallowed into being truly human. And after a short time, 10 days, it was just obvious all the time. And it was obvious that it had been obvious all the time. I just had never noticed it before. And I thought, wow, this is so amazing. This is so grand. This is the reality of what every human being is. And it's so straightforward. I'm just going to share this with everyone. Just that simple. So, when I share it, I share my direct experience, and then other people who want to, they try it out too, resting naturally. And as people have tried that over the years, many people have had the direct experience permanently of this timeless freedom. One that is of profound benefit. In other words, it's not a personal matter, like trying to be a better person for oneself and have a bigger bank account or something like that. That may happen, but its natural emanation is benefit. So you see the pulse of life, the vitality of timeless freedom, the vitality of this basic space that is entirely aware is benefit. It's benefit that's totally uncontained, without trying to be beneficial. There's no choice. There's no choice whatsoever. So I did want to point that out, that I'm not a philosopher. Yes, well, I was aware that everything is inseparable from that space. So the basic, what I call the basic space of awareness, or aware basic space, is our true identity. It's a vast expanse, infinite like the sky, with no periphery, no center, no reference point whatsoever. And I simply realized that everything is included and contained within that space and inseparable from it. So it's not within it but separate from it, but it's the same as it. It's equal. And that all these things that are included and contained within awareness are completely equal. They're not in being awareness only. In other words, everything, no matter what it is, has no independent nature other than awareness. So, yes, so whatever it is that appears, it is equal to that source. The appearances, in other words, anything that has a label, like anything that's identified in the dictionary, or any colloquialism, or any word whatsoever, all these have their origin in awareness, and they're nothing other than awareness. So what that means is they may have a vivid appearance of, for example, beautiful you sitting there, yet there's no nature there that's independent of awareness. What is your name?
Shanti.
Shanti. No matter where we looked for Shantiness in you as an independent identity, we would never find that. We'd only find awareness. Because see, awareness is the root of every experience. It's the source of every experience. And that awareness is not limited to the frame of Shanti. That awareness is vast, like infinite space. The indivisible source that is infinitely expansive, like the sky. Everything is included and contained within that. And the reality of what you are is wholly positive basic space. That wholly positive basic space that is entirely aware. If we searched high and low within you, we would never find a personal identity.
Is it also called the presence? Is that the same as the presence? What's it called, presence?
We could call it presence, but the way that I often refer to it is basic space that is naturally present and active as dynamic energy. But you see, these three descriptions are inseparable. They're one. So we don't really have to have any name. If we have a name that we're going to call it like now, or presence, or emptiness, or any of those things, then we have a characteristic. So we've limited timeless freedom with a characteristic. But if we just rely on the felt sense of rest, that is the essence of the basic space of awareness, then more and more we realize that awareness without any labels. It's so overt that it can't be hidden at all. We are aware of being naturally present here. So see, that awareness is the essence of the perception of being naturally present. Awareness is the essence of every single experience, no matter what it is. No matter what we say, awareness is the root of whatever is said. If we say, I brush my teeth, it's awareness of I brushing teeth. If we say, I eat, it's awareness of I and awareness of eating. But it's all awareness, awareness, awareness. And when we just simply rest naturally for short moments many times, it becomes permanently obvious that that awareness, that is a vast basic space, is the essence of everything, no matter what it is. Not limited by any word or label.